Let's talk to director John Badham about his book on directing. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore. I hope you're having a good day today. And it's always a good day when I get to talk to filmmakers and a legend who's done films like WARGAMES and Blue Thunder and Saturday Night Fever. John Badham, thank you for being on the Film Threat Podcast today.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here with you. Good day.
It is a good day. Your book, which I have an early copy of here on directing, is such a useful tool. I've read a lot of books on filmmaking, went to film school myself, film school dropout like many, but I have to say this book has the most practical advice I've ever seen. And it asks questions I've never seen in any book on filmmaking. In addition to including some amazing other voices of colleagues that are respected directors like Steven Soderbergh and whatnot, can you tell me what made you want to impart all the advice that's in this book to other filmmakers?
I was at the AFI some years ago, and I was talking to a group of about 50 filmmakers, and somebody stuck their hand up and said to me, John, what do you do when an actor won't do what you want them to do? And I started to think, oh my Lord, how long do we have for this class with the AFI students? And as I'm thinking that, I noticed that the entire room has sat up in their chairs and is eagerly waiting to hear what I have to say about this, which got me to thinking that it would be fun to go around and talk to a lot of directors about how they deal with actors, and in fact talk to actors about how they work with their directors and what they want from directors. So that's the beginning of my first book, which was called I'll Be in My Trailer. But then the more I thought about it, the more I had to write, which brought me to this second book, John Badham on Directing.
It's really amazing because I feel it addresses something that, I mean, this is probably why this question got so much attention when it was asked of you. It's the very simple thing. And when you look at your work, I mean, you've always, I mean, maybe you make it look easy, but you've always gotten amazing performances and really remarkable performances out of actors that we've seen, you know, not quite like they are in your films. But I feel like addressing this issue in such a serious-minded way, it's almost like you're not talking about, you're talking about directing as much as you're talking about just human interaction and psychology. How much of that plays into coaxing a performance out of an actor?
Well, you always have to remember that the actor is not just a hunk of meat standing there in front of you. That's a creative human being, and you want to encourage their creativity, which you can only do if they feel relaxed and comfortable in your presence. You know, the great Anne Bancroft said to me when I asked her what she wanted from a director, she said, I want somebody that won't yell at me until I've screwed up and gives me a chance. And that's what an actor needs. I mean, it's extremely stressful, the whole business of acting. Even when you know what you're doing and you've been doing it a whole career, it's very nervous making. And it may be nervous making for me too, as a director, or a DP is nervous, but we can hide that. We don't have to stand in front of a crew of 30 people and sort of put our emotions out there in front of everyone. And so my whole philosophy is making it a safe place to try things, a safe place to fail, actually. You know, it's okay to have an idea and fail and know that I'm not going to yell at you. I'm going to try to help you do the best you can.
It's almost as if when you're getting an actor to get to that place, it's you're sort of stripping away layers, allowing them to be kind of emotionally naked in front of everyone. I think that you're putting people in very vulnerable positions. Would that be accurate, or what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, of course. Just getting an actor to be comfortable being vulnerable in front of everybody is one of the most useful things you can do for them, and they love you for it. That's why, some actors work with the same director time after time, or the director has them work with them, because there's a trust between them, and they feel like it's okay if I have a bad idea, I'm not going to get laughed at. We trust each other, and that's a good thing. So that's really, really important, and all of the psychology in the new book is, how do you build trust with the actor? What are some easy techniques to build trust with the actor? Not getting all touchy-feely, but letting them think that you're really there for them. So all of those ideas we explore, and I think they're very easy to implement, and they don't take an Einstein-like brain to make use of them.
Well, your book has so many parts that I've marked. One of the things I'm going to plug your book, because I feel like I can at least assist on helping people. Here's the cover on directing. Look for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really amazingly useful section, and I say this just because I've seen so many different film books, filmmaking books, and especially directing books. So I've never seen anything like this. There's a section in the book that's the checklist, and I thought that this was so incredible. It's just a simple checklist of things that I don't know if I've seen this, expanded upon in any other type of book. And some of the things from the checklist, if you don't mind me talking about some of these, on the checklist: what happened before this scene that has a direct effect on it? What changes between the beginning and the end of the scene? What would we lose? I thought this was great. What would we lose if this scene were not in the film? What point of view is the scene? I mean, it goes on. There's like so many. These just seem so simple, this checklist, but so useful. It really shows the amount of thinking that goes into what might be considered, say, an innocuous scene in a movie. If you're thinking about all these scenes, that means every scene matters.
If it's in the script and you're doing it, it should matter. If you can't say, what would you miss if this weren't in the movie, you've got a problem. If you can't say, other things, what would what's the point of view of this scene? All of these questions are not meant to be rigorously answered every time, but because so many of us intuitively understand a scene. But when you don't, you can look here and you can ask almost any of these questions and have it help you break it down and understand the scene. So the actor can use these, and the director better not go into rehearsal without having some understanding that's much deeper than, oh, I read it and I kind of get it. So that's this checklist. And all of my students at Chapman, at the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, all of my students have to fill out one of these checklists on every scene that they do for the class, so that they're really used to the bit of rigor that we need to have, rather than trying to fly by the seat of our pants, which a lot of us directors have been doing for many years.
It just seems so. Maybe it's obvious, but all the information here is so incredible. I haven't seen a directing book that's like it. I want to ask, I'm a fan of the film WARGAMES. I know I'm not the only one that runs you and talks about that film. The movie was so far ahead of its time, with AI being now a reality. right? I mean, we live in an age where AI, is a part, an invisible part of so many things that happen in technology. Has there been thought to having a modern version of War Games? I know it seems like every franchise from the 80s comes back in some form, but that one just seems particularly relevant right now, War Games.
I know that at the time we spent a lot of time talking about possible sequels, and we couldn't come up with anything that worked really well for us, which is probably a mark against us for our own lack of creativity. Eventually, there was a sequel made to War Games, which was a kind of made for television, or there was another word for this, VOD,
right?
Video on demand. That I did take a look at some of it, but the technology has changed so radically, so drastically, that it would be a wonderful point of view to see what would that character be doing today. Probably running one of the big companies, the Googles and the Apples and the Microsofts, and involved in developing ideas for things that we can do with this technology in the future. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. I mean, here we're doing Zoom, or its close cousin,
Right?
And having conversation. We couldn't have done this even a couple of years ago because we didn't have the bandwidth to be able to, our computers just wouldn't put up with it. I'd be all fuzzy and going all over the place, and and breaking up and
Yeah,
like that, just pausing. I mean, I still get that nowadays with my students because all my classes are online.
Right. Well, John Badham, I have to thank you. This book is a godsend on directing. There's the cover. Check that out. I want to thank you, John, for being on the Film Threat podcast. Your work is remarkable, and thank you for passing on what you've learned. I also want to thank our sponsor, Storyblocks. If you go to storyblocks.com/film threat, you support this podcast and my ability to talk to amazing filmmakers like John Badham, and it's tools for filmmakers. John, thank you so much for being on the Film Threat podcast. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Chris, thank you, and I'm here anytime for you.
Right.
Okay.